Welcome to a new segment on my channel where I overanalyze killer-survivor communication. I'm a very casual killer, in that I'm open to friendly interactions with survivors, and I try my best to match my opponent's energy. I'd like to show y'all some unique interactions I've had with survivors and talk about them. Communication between opponents in this game is usually very up to one's interpretation, as we can't directly talk to each other. We speak in gestures, stares, and actions. And this language is fascinating to me, so I'd like to translate these interactions for you and talk about unique survivor behavior, particularly when faced with a potentially friendly killer. Alright, there's one survivor left, this Ada. Everyone else is dead. I just closed hatch, and I noticed her from across the map near the exit gate. I tried to lure her out of her hiding spot by creeping up towards her, but I got no response, though I'm sure that she was looking. As soon as she realized that I wasn't immediately hitting her, she went for the exit gate. I still wanted her medkit, so I injured her, which made her run away, but I wasn't downing her, indicating that I didn't want to kill her, but her escape was conditional. She just didn't know what the condition was yet. I even blocked the exit gate as a passive way to stop her until she dropped her item. But from her point of view, she had no idea what I wanted. She just knew that I was expressing dissatisfaction and that there was something she needed to do in order to change that. This is where the trial and error aspect of killer-survivor communication comes in. When she's crouching, teabagging, and spinning, she's literally just trying things until she figures out what I want. Until finally, she drops her medkit and I express approval, which means that next time she's in an endgame scenario, she's more likely to drop her item as an offering because it worked in this endgame situation. Let's cut to another losing scenario for the survivors. I slugged an Elodie, and I had just hooked this Laura per her request. The Elodie picked herself up while I was hooking the Laura, and on the way back to Elodie's area, I got jump scared by a pallet stun. It's not common to get scared while playing killer, which is why I just stopped and stared. She didn't have to wait at this pallet for like a full minute, but she did. And here's the most interesting part. When she noticed that I was just staring at her, she immediately stopped running away, and then ran back towards me. Her curiosity was piqued. There is nothing more intriguing to a survivor than a killer standing still, and there's nothing more intriguing to a killer than a survivor walking towards them. This unconventional behavior gives us pause, which gives the opposite party time to express what they're doing. In this case, the Elodie immediately took the opportunity to establish trust. She dropped an item, which is a universal sign of peace, and vaulted right into me. She knew that if I wanted to kill her, I would have continued chasing her. But then I stopped the chase, and she seized that opportunity to create a bonding moment. This is a show of faith and a way to force me to make a choice. If I choose not to kill her now, I'll be less likely to kill her later. That paired with her then placing a chem trap on the pallet sealed the deal for me. I was deciding to let her go. She was trusting me, and she was showing personality, both qualities that led us to bond as people rather than opponents. I also want to talk about the rather adorable behavior that survivors have when they have befriended a killer at the end of the game. They follow the killer around like a lost puppy. This isn't necessary. Logically, it would make more sense to split up to look for the hatch, but killers want survivors to know that they are being spared. And survivors think killers know where they're supposed to go. I like to watch my survivor friends escape through the hatch because it's a way to show that I could have killed them, but I didn't, and I want that to be a meaningful gesture. Let's move on to one of the most impressive killer-survivor communications I've witnessed. To set the stage, me and this David already had a bonding moment earlier in the trial where he was a bartender for a few seconds. We went back to chasing normally, but I did take note of the fact that he expressed sympathy through his body language before kicking Victor. He crouched in a way that I read to mean sorry rather than haha, fuck you. This made me switch targets to Meg, and after downing her, I noticed in the corner of my eye that David was running towards me, which, as we've established, is strange behavior and worth observing. And he expressed some very adamant disapproval at me downing Meg, along with crouching up to me as a way to show he meant no harm, but he sincerely didn't want Meg to be hooked. I was willing to compromise, so I gestured for him to follow me back before he could pick up the Meg, and I swung at the hook to show that I wanted to get a hook stay out of this interaction. He nodded and went back to healing, so I just stayed there and hoped that he understood what I meant and that he wouldn't just run away as soon as he picked up his teammate. There was a good amount of distance between us. They could have gotten away pretty easily. But he stayed true to his word and was hooked willingly. We were able to communicate a deal that, in exchange for Meg being spared, David would be hooked. This game is fucking magical. I want to say thank you to my awesome Ko-Fi supporters. Thank you so much Leo, Souza, Fluffy, Clover, Herpington, Fajitas, Taxi, Bashi, Hammock, Nelson, Katz, Ulrin, and Itza. Y'all are awesome. I really enjoyed rewatching these games and really piecing together what happened. I'm a psychology student, and human behavior fascinates me. There's nothing more creatively fulfilling than talking about human behavior in my favorite game of all time. It's really easy to become numb to survivor interactions as a killer, especially after some rough games. But I try my best to keep an open mind because you never know when a miracle could happen and you're able to be perfectly understood by someone you literally can't talk to. I find these moments so meaningful because it's a connection that can go beyond language, distance, experience level, and beliefs. In this moment, we are just two humans speaking this nonverbal language, and we manage to find each other and understand each other, if only for a second. I've never found a game that was able to create that experience for me, and I'm grateful to have Dead by Daylight as a space where I can learn more about the human mind, in trials where I can just be myself, with no strings attached.